On this episode, two local farmers from the West Point, Iowa area, Brad Freesmeier and Craig Fedler, share their past experiences being the first to grow Enlist E3 soybeans. Join us to hear their thoughts on the Enlist E3 system performance as Merschman Seeds customers.
Hi, this is Joe Merschman from Merschman Seeds. Welcome to Cup of Joe, episode number 21. Today we have a slightly different panel, and I'll introduce them here in just a second. Tommy Johns, our regional sales manager. We've got Craig Fedler, a local farmer, and also Brad Freesmeier, a local farmer. Tommy, where's Turk today?
Oh, he had to go down south again.
He went back to Florida?
No, he's down seeing customers in southern Illinois, Boot Hill.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
I'm sure it's a little warmer there still.
Yeah, he's not quite acclimated to the north yet, I see.
I think he wanted to fit in with the tan that he still had from last week.
If you didn't watch the last episode, Turk was down in Florida learning about Sultro, which is a new SDS seed treatment that's expected to be labeled this summer, which will give you another option besides Illevo for controlling sudden death and nematodes. And Ben, where's Ben?
Oh, he had to go on a fire call, actually, so he's kind of doing his second duty here.
Yeah, well, you know, in a small town, you wear a lot of different hats, so yeah, we hope it's nothing too serious. So.
Yeah, we really appreciate him doing those things, kind of things. Brad used to do the fire thing.
Yep. Yeah, I retired after 21 years.
Thanks for all you did.
Yep. Well, both these farmers are second generation customers. You know, Walter, Brad's dad, was a customer of Merschman Seeds, my dad, and Joe Fedler, also a customer of my dad's for years and years and years. So we go back a long way. And the reason we brought these two farmers in today is for one reason, is so you can hear it from the horse's mouth per se about Enlist E3. Enlist E3, as you know, is a new soybean trait that's coming to market this spring that has resistance to glyphosate, glufosinate, and 2,4-D, or in plain language, Roundup, Liberty, and also the new choline formulation of 2,4-D, which is the non-volatile, non-drift formulation. And both of these farmers are seed growers for Merschman Seeds, just like their fathers were. And we just thought we'd ask them some questions and hopefully answer some of the questions for those that watch and listen about Enlist E3. Brad, before we start, could you tell us a little bit about your farming operation?
I've got corn, soybean, hay. We have hay because we got a cow-calf herd. My son Matt, of course my wife Julie, we're all involved in this. Been farming all my life. My grandfather, both my grandfathers farmed. My dad farmed. We used to milk cows, got rid of the cows after my dad passed away, then started a beef herd and expanded quite a, my beef herd's a lot bigger than, for when I first started. But
Brad has been very cooperative with Merschman Seeds. He was the first to grow Liberty Link soybeans in this area, first to grow GT soybeans, and then first to grow Enlist E3. In fact, you grew those soybeans 3 years ago, didn't you?
Yep.
And that was mainly just to get experience with the herbicide and with the product itself. So, Brad, walk us through your experience with Enlist E3 from the beginning until harvest.
Well, I put a pre down first, and I would say the beans were, the first trip of Enlist was, they were probably 6 inches tall.
Used Enlist Dual?
Yes.
Okay, which would be a new Enlist choline technology stacked with glyphosate. Mm-hmm.
And I can remember that day there was a west wind, probably 5-6 mile an hour. What I was concerned about, there was a driveway, and the neighbor had his beans on the other side, and they weren't Enlist beans, and we were concerned about the drift going over, and I sprayed right into the fence row. And the weeds, there was absolutely no drift at all. The weeds died right in the fence row, and it was really impressive that
it was right to the line.
Yes, didn't have to worry about. There was actually one weed in the field. It was a giant ragweed that must have got missed when we put the pre down, and actually that cost Ben a box of beer because
I bet you that's why Ben's not here today. He didn't want to relive that bad memory.
Yeah.
It was pretty tall, if I remember right.
It was really tall, and it just annihilated that weed. So, but I'm not recommending that's what you do to let weeds get that tall. But There was even some multiplier rows in the fence row that it just annihilated it.
Working with some of the other products that you'd used in the past, you were just kind of floored about how well the weed control was. Just, I mean,
yeah, this was brand new. I mean, nobody's ever
Right.
seen it before, and the field was stewarded, so everything that we did, I had to have an inspector there the whole time.
That's the reason it was stewarded, because we didn't have all the export approvals
Yeah.
for the grain, so we had to make sure that nothing escaped that field that would potentially get in the export sale.
Every time I went into the field, the inspector had to be there. We had to clean the planter out in the field, had to clean the combine in the field.
Keep in mind, this was 3 years ago.
yeah.
And been waiting, for it to get it approved worldwide so that we can, because we leave the beans set in the bin and don't know where
Sure.
we can sell them or you guys can sell them or whatever. So now that we got full approval, it's going to be it's going to fix a lot of guys' problems.
How fast was the herbicide in working on the weeds?
Oh, you could see it that afternoon.
So that afternoon you saw.
Oh, you could even see it sooner than that. If you spray 2,4-D on anything, the weeds all start to roll up right away. You could see it. It was a 50-acre field, and time we pulled out of that field, you could already tell where the weeds were.
So you use some of the older formulations of 2,4-D in certain situations. Now, can you explain the little differences of what you saw with some of the old 2,4-D formulations versus the new choline technologies?
Well, one thing I can remember, it smells.
Yeah.
It smells different.
Yeah. Okay.
So the new choline formulation is more pleasing smell or less pleasing smell than the old 2,4-D, in your opinion?
Oh, it smells like 2,4-D, but there's a different smell. I don't know if
If it's
It
better. or
smells
not.
like a chemical, but
Yeah.
definitely not like the old 2,4-D.
yeah.
And I guess what I'm asking you is what, it sounds like you're really impressed with the control. There was no drift. You were able to go right at that fence line, take care of some of the
Yep.
issues.
And then then you've got the Roundup in it for any grasses that are out there.
Sure.
So it,
Contact versus systemic.
yep.
And then you still have a fallback yet. If you have any escapes, you can come back with
Liberty.
glufosinate Liberty. Yeah.
Or interline.
Yep.
So
Or you can put them all together.
do some take mixing.
Tank mixing, yep. So are you planning to raise Enlist E3 this year?
Yep. All of my acres.
100%.
Yep.
So you're pretty excited when you got full approvals.
Yep.
So you think this is a good technology? I mean,
Oh, definitely.
what kind of yield benefit did you see, Brad? I mean, I hear some of the stories that I know Joe was in the combine there, and you were pretty tickled with some of the I think there was a certain variety of the Kennedys, for example, that did really well on your farm, and
That was last year, this past fall.
Yeah. Of course, everybody had good bean yields last year. I don't have any side-by-side comparisons, but definitely very pleased with the yield that we've been getting. We no-till everything, and so this Enlist is, you don't have to worry about any weeds that might have gotten escaped on your pre or your burn down. Before, if you had any weeds that got through, then hopefully your Roundup or your Liberty would come in and get them, and this just takes all that worry away.
Well, thanks, Brad. I really appreciate your insight on Enlist E3. Let's talk to Craig Fedler here. And Craig, last year was your first year raising Enlist E3 soybeans. Actually, it was a seed production field also, wasn't it?
Yes.
So tell us tell us first of all a little bit about your farming operation, and then we'll go in and tell us a little bit about the Enlist E3 experience.
Well, been farming basically since I got out of high school. Used to have hogs, but got out of those and just raise fat cattle now. And been doing some no-till situations, but some farms just don't have the weed control, so that's why I've been doing tillage. But with this Enlist, the weed control program is just phenomenal. The piece I had the Enlist on has a giant ragweed problem really bad, and there was not one weed out there at all.
So what herbicides did you use a pre?
Yes, I did use a pre down prior, about 2 weeks before I planted, because I didn't get it planted until May 21st when the beans come in.
The reason you were waiting on the beans because they were coming from South America, brand new genetics.
Yes, correct. And they're a Group 3-8 bean, if I remember right, the Eisenhower's, and the weather really helped me out because we had that last 5 inches of rain towards fall and my beans were still green. So even on a lighter soil, I mean, and the heavy soils, I mean, yield was phenomenal. I mean, that is definitely why I planted or want to plant all Enlist beans again this year for seed.
So what did you use for your post? Did you use Enlist 1 with Liberty, or did you use Enlist Dual with glyphosate Roundup? What did you use?
Use the Enlist Duo.
Enlist Dual.
Yes.
So basically a pre-Enlist Dual, and you were finished.
Yes, that was it. Didn't have to come back in with anything. We was a little leery against one neighbor, so we did make one pass with just Liberty. Just, we didn't know about the drift, and I don't want to have angry neighbors.
Sure.
So, but other than that, and that still stayed clean also.
So your experience as far as physical drift, nothing outside the field where you sprayed?
None at all.
And you have to keep in mind that the 2,4-D formulation in Enlist Dual and in Enlist 1 is a contact, as opposed to the dicamba product, which is systemic. There's a big difference, even though they're in the same classification of herbicide, how they act as far as mode of action, the number. They're totally different animals. So actually, soybeans are not considered even a sensitive crop to the Enlist 2,4-D product. So glad to hear that you were happy. I know we were really happy with the seed production from both of you, and we're starting to sell that, and there's going to be more farmers going to be able to experience Enlist E3 this spring, thanks to you two farmers that took a chance with Merschman Seeds to grow an innovative new product first.
One thing I might add, Joe, if people are using 2,4-D in their burn down, you can put the Enlist Dual on as your pre or in your burn down, and you don't have to worry about the wait period for planting beans for the beans to come up.
That's a great point, Brad. Yeah, so in other words, you can put the Enlist Dual down and plant the same day if you want to.
Plant right behind it because you won't have to worry about the
no injury, no time delay. Yep. That's a good point. That's a real benefit to in your operation where you're a no-till farmer.
Yeah.
And again, the contact works very quickly, and you experience that because I remember that giant ragweed out there. We didn't think anything would take it down. That one weed that was just out there like an island in your field,
yep.
And I remember it didn't last too long.
No, it was in a few days. It was all shriveled up and brown. It worked just like if you were spraying 2,4-D on any, if you're spraying around buildings or whatever. It works exactly the same way.
So, in comparison, as far as ease of use of the product, would you compare it back to 97, 98 when you were spraying Roundup Ready on Roundup Ready soybeans? Is it that easy? Does it work that well?
I would say it's even easier because, the Roundup maybe wouldn't get those bigger weeds or whatever, but on the broadleaf side, you don't have to worry about anything surviving.
How about you, Craig? What do you think?
Yeah, this Enlist, it'll knock those bigger broadleafs down a lot faster, quicker. Just does a better job. Doesn't miss.
Okay. So, here at Merschman's, we're farmer first, and again, we appreciate you guys coming in. But what are a couple things that you guys are seeing out in the industry or out in the field that maybe something that we could help with, do better? Or what are your, as farmers, what's some of your guys' concerns?
What's keeping you up at night right now?
Mother Nature.
Mother Nature.
Yeah, that's true.
Brad and Craig, we just posted our spring weather outlook and our summer outlook from John Felt, our weather forecaster. And if those of you that haven't already watched it, it's about a 17-minute video. It does look like we're going to have another good year, despite a kind of a slow start maybe, because our soils are really saturated, but those saturated soils are really going to actually come in handy this summer when the temperatures start rising.
I think my biggest concern right now, and I know there's a lot of farmers in the same situation, nobody got fall fertilizer done, and And is the spring going to give us enough time to get all that done? And, we used to get it all done, but it just seems like, I know that talking to different farmers, everybody's concerned about how they're going to do it. Are they going to go away from anhydrous? Are they going to go with liquid? Or
ammonium nitrate or whatever,
yeah, and we've always gotten it on before, but that, I know that's everybody's big concern right now is, because I've always put my strip tilled in the fall, and that didn't get done last fall.
Well, Brad, do you remember a year ago, I think it was April 2nd, we had a skiff of snow, and we thought spring was never going to get here, and by the first week of May, you guys were all done, completely done with your corn, and Craig's, he was waiting on some beans from South America.
But other than that, everything was
it was fine.
So
Craig,
and it turned out to be one of our best years ever.
Yep. So, they always say it's not the weather at planting, it's the weather after you plant. Craig, what do you think? What are your concerns?
The biggest concern is being patient this spring. I mean, everybody's going to want to go like gangbusters, and to have the patience to wait 1 or 2 more days to do things correctly.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Yeah, that's just human nature to, particularly in farming. It's about getting things done because, timing is everything in farming. And I always say every year there's always 2 days that a farmer shouldn't plant, and that's those days where you get those big rains right after you plant within 24 hours, and that's usually a disaster for stand, and then that's a crop that you got to worry about all summer.
Hey, Craig, I have a question though. When you said you had some of those late planted beans, did those yield fairly well? Being the later side, May.
Yes.
What did you say? The second, third week of May, you got those.
21st of May is when they got planted, and like you said, the weather benefited me with that 5 inches of rain. The beans were still green. They come across the scales here at Merschman's, 90 acres, and they yielded 76.
Yeah,
that's a really good yield.
Yeah,
I was very pleased.
That's what I've been trying to tell, talking to guys out in the field is these Enlist beans are very easy to use, and the yield punch with it is just outstanding.
Yeah, and the combine ease on them was just a breeze. I mean, they just flowed through the machine.
Good.
And most of them were coming in, 12.5%, 13%, but they just flowed right through the machine, so
Good.
easy.
Well, Brad, you had some of the Enlist beans last year on some of your best ground. You had some pretty substantial yields on that heavy black soil that you farm on.
Well, I've kind of got the good, bad, and the ugly on as far as ground-wise, and you don't have to plant them on the best soil. They're diversified where you can go everywhere with them.
That's a good point, Brad, because as we're putting our descriptions together for 2020, the farmers are going to see it's works on any soil, plant east to west. That is one of the characteristics of a lot of the Enlist E3 soybeans, and I think it's because of the fact that we had delays in bringing this product to market because of China and the Philippines. It gave us more time to get the genetics right.
Right. So
I think that it's really a step change out there in the marketplace. And of course, you farmers will tell us, and today, I know a lot of farmers, if they don't get 60 bushels per acre, they're pretty disappointed anymore. I mean, that's become the new standard where you got to have it. You just got to have the bushels because the price is not there.
Yeah, that is a good point. Haven't seen any. I planted some double crop beans, and they didn't get planted until right after Memorial Day, and that was still very good beans.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say, I guess the moral of the story is it's okay to plant beans a little bit later. I know from a seed production standpoint, we like beans planted towards the middle of May to the latter part of May because we get better seed quality, and that's just because you're combining when the temperature is a little bit cooler and the moisture hangs on a little bit longer. Well, I really appreciate Brad and Craig, for coming in today. And Tommy, do you have anything else to add?
No, I just want to say thank you guys for doing what you do. I mean, you guys are the reason that we can send out 90% germ or better soybeans to our customers, and that means a lot that you guys put in the work that you do and care as much about Merschman's as Joe and I do, so to speak. So,
well, yeah, there's no question about it. Our seed growers, we owe them a lot to our success because we're noted as putting out a quality product, and it all starts with guys like you that take the extra time to set that combine and get there when the beans are ripe and do the best job that you can, and that really helps a lot of farmers off to a good start, because emergence is a critical time to that stand, and then of course rain during pod fill, which Craig alluded to. You get those two things working for you, you're going to have a good shot at a good crop.
I might add something, Joe. I know in a lot of our seed production, we have our bonus coated plus treatment on it, plus a levo. I know you guys have had a levo and all for sudden death control. Now, you guys kind of noticed, with our new product, the turpidity that we're putting in with our bonus coated plus treatment. You guys kind of seen that even emergence and with the biostimulant package as far as that goes? I mean, you guys seen any benefits?
Well, it's a little more even.
Yeah.
The stands are when they're coming up out of the ground, yes.
Okay. We've been kind of talking about that.
The turpidity part is actually made up of 3 different products. They call them biostimulants, and they're not anything biological. They're hard chemistry. They're nutrients and plant enzymes and also
amino acids.
Well, plant hormones.
Yep.
Plant hormones. So anyhow, the bottom line is one of the things that's relatively different about Merschman Seeds is the turpidity piece that's in our fungicide, insecticide seed treatment. So something to keep an eye on. That's something when you have stress, it's going to help you get you through it.
Absolutely.
Well, appreciate you coming in today, and because I know you're probably going to be out working on your planters this afternoon to get ready to plant as soon as you can go, because it's going to be a race.
Yes.
Well, thanks for watching today, and thanks for purchasing Merschman soybeans. All of us here wish you a safe spring. Thank you.